Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Ellis Park here on Sunday. It is the 3rd of August, 2025. Gonna look the stakes races on the program from Ellis, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. Let's look at the stakes action. Races 7, 8, 9, and 10, all conveniently packed, and a late pick 4, all stakes, all turf. The seventh race from Ellis, it is the Kentucky Downs Preview Turf Cup. It's going for a purse of $300,000. Races for 3-year-olds and upwards. A field of 10 horses stepping on the lawn, the 2,000-meter journey, or a mile and a quarter on the turf course. Like these Ellis Park mile and a quarter turf races, they kind of have like since they started the chart, it kind of reminds me of Arlington years ago. But my top selection, I'm going to go take the 9-horse Dashman, 9217 for me in the superfecta. 9217 Super, top selection 9-horse Dashman. This 4-year-old colt by Oscar Performance, Brian Lynch trains. Brian Hernandez Jr. gets to mount. They ran the horse most recently in the McKnight Stakes at Gulfstream, mile and a half on the 25th of January, and he won by a nose that day, and he had a wide trip, but he had the turn of foot like an express train late. He circled the field late. Cash equity almost had the jump on him, but this horse, he got there nick of time. That was a great ride by Florent that day. He's been on the bench since then, refreshing here, not the world's toughest race. I think he could find a trip back to the winner's circle today again. He ran 2 back in the Commonwealth Turf at Churchill, mile 16th, late November. Finished 7th by 4 lengths that day, and he just kind of stalked that day. I thought he wants longer of a trip, but again, I've seen worse race from him. And the Jockey Club Derby at Aqueduct, mile 3/8 in early October. He finished 4th by 1 3/4 lengths that day. Carson's run ran terrifically. Dieter who was the next star winner of the 4-star Dave on Saturday at Saratoga, ran a good place, went on to win the next start after that. This horse just kind of stalked that day, and a little interference that day, which cost him also. And then prior to that, early September, Kentucky Downs, mile 5/16 in the Lowndes race, won by 2 1/4 lengths. He took the shortest way around, a little bit wide late in the race, but he still came home clear. He's a winner on this turf course, breaking his maiden quite impressively nearly a year ago to the day off the long refreshing. A similar refreshing that he's coming off here today. So I think he's proven he could run off the bench, training well locally. I'm going to give him a shot on the ticket. I think the 2 horse for Stop and the Old Man can find a piece of it also. He ran the Shorley Wood at Churchill in the mile 3/8 back in mid-June, where he finished 3rd by 3 lengths, and he was a little bit wide. The winners in front of him just had the jump on him, but he ran okay. Before then, the Louisville Stakes of the mile and a half at Churchill, he finished 2nd by 1 1/4 lengths that day, where he got caught right in the last half furlong of the race. Frankie just had a little bit of a middle move on him, which I think cost him, but he ran his heart out. When he sits a little bit closer, he does a little bit better, I think. Coming here back to a mile and a quarter, which I think is his preferred trip, it wouldn't surprise me. Let's use him on the ticket. But to recount my selection for the 7 from Ellis, now it's the Kentucky Downs Preview Turf Cup. Gotta take the 9-horse Dashman. Give kudos to the 2 horse for stopping. 9217 Super. 9-2 in the multi race. The 8th event now from Kentucky Downs. It is the Kentucky Downs Preview Ladies Turf Mile. It's going for a purse of $250,000. Race for fillies, mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. 9 horses are taking a stroll around the main track or around the turf course, which is 1,600 meters in circumference, or a mile on the turf course. Going to take the number 6 horse here, Pharaoh's Wine, 6317 in the superfecta, 6317 super, top selection 6 horse, Pharaoh's Wine. This for the American Pharaoh, Dale Romans trains. Corey Lannery gets the mount. They ran the horse most recently on the 18th of June at Churchill, mile and allowance for allowance optional 100 claimer, and he won by 1.5 lengths. Only had 5 other rivals, but had a dream trip. When he quickened up, he came home clear. A very good run, refreshing back to stakes quality horse for the first time in quite a few minutes. I think he's going to be in a very good spot to win. Also, he likes running here. He ran 2 back at Churchill, mile and optional 80 at the end of May, where he won by 2 1/4 lengths that day. And again, sat back early, had pace to close up into it. He did just that. A very, very good race. He didn't have pace to close up into in the race prior, though. That came at Keelan, a mile in the Lowndes race, finishing 8th by 6 lengths. He just completely hit the wall. The ground was also quite waterlogged that day, so they're crawling, but he needs pace to really get the good turn of foot. He didn't see that at Gulfstream with the race prior, but he likes running here. He's a course and distance winner, winning here on the 20th of July last summer. Went in by a length that day. He really came home clear, a little bit drifting that day, but it was still a very good run. Came back to a very good place in the Valley View and get Keelan in the fall. But coming here 5-2, I think he's a very logical winner, and I think the 3 horse Waves of Mischief for Edgar Morales could win also. He hasn't won since the pucker up on this turf course at this fixture last year, where he won by head, tracking down the race course, coming there in the nick of time. A good run, came back to run a very good place in the Dueling Grounds Oaks last September, and then stunk up the place in the QE2 Cup, where she feels pretty, just reigned over her. But her races so far this season, she just had a bit of a trouble trips both the races at Churchill. I think come back here without the headgear, she could find a trip to win. If you look over her form cycles, both of the races where she's had the blinkers, that's where she hasn't showed up. So no blinkers today. I'll give her a shot at 8-1. But to recount my selection for the eighth now from Ellis, it's the Kentucky Downs preview ladies turf mile. Gonna take the 6-horse Pharaoh's Wine. Give kudos to the 3-horse Waves of Mischief. 6-3-1-7 Super. 6-3 in the multi race. The featured ninth race now from Ellis. It is the Pucker Up Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for a $400,000 purse race for 3-year-old fillies. 10 horses are going 1,800 meters or a mile and eighth here in the Pucker Up race, formerly run at Arlington. I always remember this race being run like around Labor Day. I'm pretty sure they also ran it, if I'm not mistaken, they might have even ran it towards the end of the Arlington rain, I guess, Millions weekend. But this has always been one of my favorite races at Arlington. Gonna go with the 10 horse here for a good time. I'm gonna go 10-4-3-5 at the superfecta. 10-4-3-5 super. Top selection 10 horse here for a good time. 3-year-old Philip by Justify. Brendan Walsh trains. Tyler Gaffleone gets the mount. They ran the horse most recently in the Regret Stakes at Churchill, mile and eighth in late May, and he finished third by 1/2 lengths that day. And he sat back early, a little bit wide late, but he was gaining some ground. If the race is a mile and 3/16, she probably would have won, but she got it down the race course well. Not a bad race in the feed. Early May was a previous race at Churchill, mile and eighth and mile and 16th and opposite 125. One of my 1 3/4 lengths again, sitting back early. She was stupidly wide, but she rallied to win that day. A very, very good race. And then they tried around in the dirt off the turf at Keelan, a mile and eighth in early April in the main special weight, won by 1 3/4 lengths. She had a dream tracking trip, and guess what? She's a dirt winner. Her dirt races before that were pretty crap, but that day she really showed up. And then she ran on the turf at Gulfstream, mile and eighth in main special weight in early March, finishing third by 4.5 lengths. She was on the front end all throughout until the lane, and that's when she just got a wrap. She was drifting with all that open space, and she just lost it there. That's well, simply put it, you just lost it. But since then, she's really improved a lot. Coming here off the bench at 4-1, I think she could win. I think the 4-horse Princess Attitude for Axel Concepcion can win also. Was a winner 3 back in the main special with Keelan over the mile closing weekend, where he won by 1 1/4 lengths at a very wide trip, but he got there in nick of time. A good race. Came back to run at the Hilltop at Pimlico Preakness weekend, where he had a decent third place finish. He just kind of switched lead a few times in lane, which cost him, and then came back to win have a good place in the Tempin Stakes of the mile a few weeks ago at Churchill. I think coming back here, a little bit the longer trip off her most recent races. 9-2, it wouldn't surprise me. We'll use this horse in the pick 4. But to recount my selection now for the ninth from Ellis, it's the Pucker Up Stakes. Going to take the 10 horse here for a good time. Give kudos to the 4-horse Princess Attitude, 10-4-3-5 Super, 10-4 in the multi race. The 10th race now from Ellis Park. It is the Kentucky Downs Preview Turf Sprint. It's going for a purse of $250,000, race for 3-year-olds and upwards. Field of 12 horses going 1,100 meters or 5.5 furlongs on the turf course. Gonna take the 3-horse Joe Shiesty as the top selection. 3-1-7-10 for me in the superfecta. 3-1-7-10 Super. Top selection 3-horse Joe Shiesty. This 4-year-old Gelb by Air Force Blue. Eric Foster trains. Luis Machado gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came the Mighty Bow at Churchill, 5 wrong 7th of June, winning by a neck on the front and all throughout. He had enough speed off the bench to win that day. He nearly yielded before the wire, but he had enough left in the tank. A very good race. Refreshing here at Ellis, where he didn't run very well in this race last year, but I think he's come this one a little bit better than he did last year. I think he could find a trip to win. He ran 2 back late November at Churchill, 5.5 in a lounge race. Finished second by 1 1/4 lengths that day. First time older horse in a little bit of time. He sat on the front all throughout. He just got overtaken the last half furlong. Maybe the 5.5 got to him, but he ran his heart out. And then 5.5 in the lounge race on the dirt at Churchill, finishing second by 3.5 lengths. Again, he was dueling on the front end. The winner, Valentine Canny, won that day, was next our winner. he just couldn't keep up there. And then Keelan, 5.5 in an allowance race, winning by a half a length that day. On the front and all throughout, he set some good fractions and went away with it. He ran this race last year, which was a disaster. He finished 7 by 4.5 lengths that day. He stalked a very, very quick pace and then just completely hit the wall. But I do think he's a slightly better horse since then. His numbers have definitely gone up. The last race in the Mighty Bow was quite impressive. He's training well locally. I'm gonna give him a shot on the ticket. I think the one horse Coppola for Dale Rome's and Brian Hernandez coming also. He won a overnight stakes at Indiana, going 5/8 on the turf course. Quite impressive by 2 lengths. A few weeks ago at Indiana, his races in the Jaipur, he set that wicked fractions where he just couldn't keep up late on the yielding ground. And again, with yielding ground in the turf sprint at Pimlico, he just couldn't keep up there. But I think coming back to this turf course where he's drawn very well, could see a good race from the inside. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets his way on the front end. At 92, we'll use him on the ticket. And even the 7 horse Nobles, he's probably going to come from a little bit behind here. I think he's going to be a slightly faster horse on his inside. But if he finds a trip like he did in last year's or 2 seasons ago in like the DeHaas or the Brewers Cup, he might be winning here. I'll give him a shot of 5-2 to end off this pick four. It's a very wide open nightcap, so you could go a few ways, but to recount my selection for the 10th now from Ellis, it's the Kentucky Downs Preview Turf Sprint. We're going to take the 3 horse Joe Shiesty, give kudos to the 1 horse Corpola and the 7 horse No Balls, 31710 Super, 317 in the multi race. So good luck to them. Please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5. Good luck, everybody.